What's up everybody, welcome to another camera comparison video. Yeah, it's very cold outside, it's winter over here and it's minus 8 degrees Celsius today. Well, you don't have to believe me, look at this. The lake is already frozen. Wow, yeah, it's really very cold. Anyway, you check carefully which smartphone has rendered colors correctly. Let me tell you, this one. Which one has better skin tone? Again, this one. Dynamic range, similar. Stabilization, this one better. Listen carefully which microphone has performed better and make a comment in the comment section below. Let me know which smartphone selfie camera performance do you prefer. Well, none of these two brands have sent me any review units, so I had to buy these smartphones. I wish you appreciate my hard work. To put a camera comparison video together, it's really a tough task, and when I see other people like the channel who is making fake camera comparison videos, and there are channels who actually have the smartphone but shamelessly promoting some brands, I really hate those channels. I really don't like people doing that. So I wish that you understand which one is unbiased review, which one is unbiased comparison, and then support that channel. I always try to provide you with honest content, true content. So if you find this video helpful, if you like this video, then please take a little while, click on the like button and subscribe to this channel. I'm not gonna waste any more time. Let's start our camera comparison video. It's very cold. You want me to stand over there? I can't. Usually, most of the smartphones, no matter whether it's a super flagship or a budget flagship, fails to reproduce true-to-life photos with enough details and correct exposure in indoor environment under different lighting conditions. All these photos were grabbed in indoor lighting condition. HDR was set to auto and AI was disabled. I have disabled AI because Oneplus AI sometimes goes crazy and either oversaturates or overprocess and crush the shadows. White balance or color temperature, different people uses different terms, but it's the same thing. It tries to get the temperature as natural as possible. Usually OnePlus 10 Pro white balance is better and close to reality. Also based on ambient light type and color, it goes a bit cold and sometimes goes a bit warm. It can compensate and change accordingly. But regardless the type of lighting and ambient color, Samsung Galaxy S21 FE keeps the tone warm. Color grading is similar. It's surprising because OnePlus 10 Pro has Hasselblad Natural Color Optimization 2.0 and Samsung Galaxy S21 FE definitely doesn't have that. I really don't see much difference, but after checking hundreds of photos, S21 FE has rendered colors a bit more efficiently than OnePlus 10 Pro. Both have managed to maintain exposure and brightness. No complaints. However, in some tricky lighting conditions, Samsung has better contrast and shadows are well processed. In some photos, it really goes down to personal preference and requires heavy nitpicking to find any reasonable difference. In terms of details, texture processing and sharpness, both the OnePlus 10 Pro and Samsung S21 FE has done very well, but once I have tried to take some pictures where it requires a lot more processing power, OnePlus 10 Pro has performed way better than Samsung Galaxy S21 FE. Actually, in some demanding condition, I have noticed that Samsung Galaxy S21 FE concentrates on better exposure and eye-pleasing rendition. I have taken 10 photos of this place with 10 different smartphones and Google Pixel 6 tops the chart. OnePlus 10 Pro has done very well. It has almost correct colors and white balance, but has lost a lot of details due to poor exposure. I'm truly frustrated to see how S21 FE has failed to control saturation and the whole image looks so different than reality. From that red to this red. Check the sweater or pullover of Samara. The color red is almost perfectly correct on OnePlus 10 Pro, while S21 FE has increased highlights and saturation. This is frustrating cause other than the color red, Samsung algorithm has almost perfectly rendered other colors. Anyway, as I've mentioned earlier, OnePlus has higher contrast and S21 FE continuously tries to increase shadows. After checking a bunch of different type of photos, I have noticed whenever there is a human subject in the frame, both of these two smartphones processed photos differently. Don't make a mistake, these are not portrait photos, but both of these two smartphones got natural bokeh. This happens cause of bigger sensor size. Some people confuses pixel count with sensor size. They think 12 megapixel sensor means smaller sensor, but it's not always true. After cropping in, both me and Samara, we were like super surprised. Where are the details on the subject? Why does OnePlus 10 Pro photo look like a ghost? Why does S21 FE gave Samara a curry flavored skin tone? It's not like there isn't no details at all. Samsung S21 FE has grabbed a lot of details. Check Samara's clothing and you will see the differences. Is it because of harsh lighting or due to unoptimized camera algorithm? Let us check the portrait photos. S21 FE got a 8 megapixel sensor tagged to a 3x lens and OnePlus 10 Pro got a 8 megapixel sensor tagged to a 3.3x lens. Both uses its telephoto lens to grab portrait photos. After we have checked these portrait photos, we were totally convinced that okay, we need to reshoot all the portrait photos. Look at the face of Samara. It's totally different on these photos. Crazy saturation, less details or almost no details on the subject, beauty effect. Altogether, Samsung S21 FE portrait photos are not that what I have expected. On the other hand, colors are way too pale on OnePlus 10 Pro portrait photos. It seems like someone has sucked all the colors and saturation is awfully low. Yes, it was a very harsh lighting condition. There was a halogen lamp on the left side of the model, a spotlight directly hitting from the top and a lot of LED lamps around. We have chosen the place cause, we wanted to check how good these smartphones can do. And as you can see, both have failed. Okay, we have taken a new set of photos in a different place. And we have tried to get the best outcome from these smartphones. Different place, different model and almost similar type of outcome. It seems like Anna, the model, had a beauty mask on her face. Very frustrating. At a glance, of course, OnePlus 10 Pro looks better. It has managed to render correct skin tone and beauty effect is not as heavy as Samsung Galaxy S21 FE. The color of Anna's dress is also much more natural or close to reality in OnePlus 10 Pro photos. Better exposure, better brightness, better contrast ratio, way more details on the subject, natural skin tone, true to life color grading, natural white balance. OnePlus 10 Pro is way ahead in portrait photography. Bokeh effect, separation between subject and background, edge detection and edge cutouts. Everything is similar. I cannot see much difference in these. Both have occasionally made some mistake in edge detection, especially when there is a messy background and sometimes there are crazy cutouts around the edges. Another thing worth mentioning is even if OnePlus 10 Pro comes with laser autofocus, it sometimes has failed to focus the subject. I must say, this is not how a super flagship should perform. Certainly OnePlus 10 Pro is a super flagship. I had way better expectations from it. Some of my subscribers have made comments and sent emails that I am not giving enough attention to videos. Today I have added a lot of video clips. I wish this will make you happy. These video clips were recorded in 4K 30 frames per second and straightforward, there are a few issues. OnePlus 10 Pro grabbed more details, the whole video looks sharper, but obviously it has artificially processed sky colors. Sometimes brightness and contrast ratio isn't that perfect. On the other hand, S21 FE also got a few different issues. Exposure management, stabilization, contrast and shadows are not as good as OnePlus 10 Pro. I have intentionally waved the smartphones, tried to check stabilization and dynamic range. It seems a better ISP with a better main sensor has helped OnePlus 10 Pro to produce better 4K video clips. This is another set of video clips recorded in 4K 30 frames per second. I will let you enjoy the video clips. Please check the sky and the structures very carefully. You will surely find the differences, but one more time, OnePlus 10 Pro didn't perform like a super flagship. From a flagship class sensor to a mid-range sensor for ultra-wide photos. OnePlus 9 Pro came with a flagship class Sony IMX766 sensor for ultra-wide photos, and now OnePlus has downgraded it with a ZN1 50MP sensor. They have widened the FOV. Actually, all the BBK based brands have got this same ultra-wide lens with 150° FOV, but in reality that's unusable. It actually goes down to 0.6x and offers usual 123° ultra-wide FOV. When you select that 150°, it will give you a fisheye impact, which I totally dislike. Samsung Galaxy S21 FE comes with a 12MP sensor for ultra-wide photos, and briefly, the differences are pretty visible. In terms of details and dynamic range, S21 FE has done way better than OnePlus 10 Pro. 12MP main sensor on S21 FE and 48MP on OnePlus 10 Pro. This is the same Sony IMX789 that they have used in 9 Pro. Totally no difference in main sensor setup between 9 Pro and 10 Pro. Both the smartphones have OIS, while S21 FE lacks laser autofocus. All of these photos are straight out of the smartphones, and all of the photos are taken in auto mode. This time I have enabled AI and scene detection cause I wanted to see what type of improvement is done in computational photography through newer SoC and ISP. OnePlus has artificially optimized sky color, white balance is a bit too cold than natural, while Samsung Galaxy S21 FE has true-to-life sky color rendition, white balance is slightly warmer than natural. Dynamic range is surprisingly wider in S21 FE. Should I say OnePlus 10 Pro has fought well, or should I say surprisingly S21 FE has done better? Sometimes OnePlus has managed to grab more details, but overall S21 FE photos represents reality. As I always say, under bright daylight, most of the flagship smartphones works fine, and a lot depends on personal preferences. As OnePlus 10 Pro got a better sensor, it may get better with updates. And at the same time, we need to understand that this is second generation OnePlus flagship with the same sensor. So I really don't know how much OnePlus can extract from this sensor with new updates. Both comes with 8MP sensor tagged to OIS. I have mentioned this earlier. S21 FE offers 3 times optical zoom and OnePlus 10 Pro offers 3.3 times optical zoom. These zoom photos are taken at native optical zoom resolution of the smartphones. I am surprised to see the performance of OnePlus 10 Pro. Definitely OnePlus has worked with their algorithm and managed to get the best out of this 8MP sensor. Details, textures, sharpness, dynamic range, shadows and colors. All the things are well processed, and overall OnePlus 10 Pro has produced better optical zoom photos. S21 FE and OnePlus 10 Pro both supports low light optical zoom photos, and considering their respective hardware, both have performed well. But there is significant difference in outcome. OnePlus 10 Pro has managed to brighten up the whole image, kept noise and grains to a minimum level, exposure, shadows, details and textures, everything is far better. This is a clean sweep victory for OnePlus 10 Pro. And once we move to 10 times zoom photos in low light environment, Samsung Galaxy S21 FE falls far behind. I think OnePlus 10 Pro actually brings quite a few improvements over last generation 9 Pro. I'm amazed. Personally, I don't take ultra-wide photos in night time, cause that just hurts the feelings. There is only a few flagship smartphones which can take very good low-light ultra-wide photos, but as many regular viewers have requested me to add low-light ultra-wide photos, here I have added some. Both of these to reproduce poor quality nighttime ultra-wide photos. Actually, OnePlus 9 Pro can grab better nighttime ultra-wide photos than OnePlus 10 Pro. Anyway, when both of the competitors performs poorly, it's very difficult to judge which one is better. But considering all the aspects, one more time OnePlus 10 Pro gets a pass mark. Time for one of my most favorite segment of any camera comparison video. I have developed my own way or method to check night mode photos. Most of the subscribers of this channel know about this and we call it DENS. Details, exposure, noise and shadows. Before we go through this DENS thing, I will let you check some photos and enjoy the music. Okay, a lot depends on how you like your photos. Some people would argue that if night mode photos are not bright enough, if it's not visible, then why do we need night mode photos? Some people would say if night mode photos are too bright, then it loses the vibe of true darkness of night. Personally, I believe there are 4 factors that defines a good night mode photo. If any smartphone can get these factors correct in night photos, then I will surely go with that. Here in this comparison, OnePlus 10 Pro has got more details, balanced exposure, low noise and shadows are far better. What do you think? Which one is better? Samsung Galaxy S21 FE has done very good, but that's in the budget flagship league. OnePlus 10 Pro night mode photos are totally in the super flagship league. These are selfie portraits and I know a few minutes earlier I was unhappy with both the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE and OnePlus 10 Pro for poor rear camera bokeh photos. Now in selfie camera portrait photos, it's almost the same. Disappointment. Less details, heavy beauty effect, occasional mishap in edge detection, poor exposure and focus management. Actually, I have never liked any OnePlus smartphone selfie camera, but I am truly disappointed to see how this Samsung Galaxy S21 FE has performed. I am not sure why all the smartphones available in China must have beauty effect by default. Even if you try to disable it, there is some type of beauty effect already baked inside the core of the algorithm. Time for nighttime low-light video clips. Details and textures are almost the same. OnePlus has better stabilization, less noise and natural color tone, but white balance jumps back and forth. Samsung Galaxy S21 FE one more time cannot even compete. Check the structures and the lights at the background. You will see the differences. Time for verdict. OnePlus 10 Pro is the winner, that's for sure, there is no hesitation, but there are 2 things that I cannot accept. Number 1, the price tag of Samsung S21 FE is way too high. $700 for a budget flagship is like a joke. And some tech YouTubers are trying to justify this price tag by shamelessly promoting this device. Number 2, OnePlus 10 Pro camera setup actually has no upgrade. They have even downgraded a few things like the ultra-wide sensor. OnePlus has also got rid of the monochrome lens from this 10 Pro. Okay, if you have liked this video then please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel.
So don't let me fall where I don't belong. I I can't go back.